Hey guys, welcome back to General Chemistry. Today we are going to start talking about writing chemical formulas. So in this lecture series, we've been focusing on ionic compounds, so we'll continue to focus on those. And now we're going to take this skill of predicting ions and put it together into a chemical formula. So just as a reminder, we looked at something like this. So we have the periodic table. We can predict very quickly how many valence electrons a particular element has. So it has to do with the family that they're in. So everybody in this family here, group 1 has 1 valence, 2 valence, jump across, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We can also predict fairly quickly how many or what sort of ion is going to form. So remember, the name of the game is stability. So all of these elements are either going to gain electrons or lose electrons in order to have a full valence shell or to have 8 electrons in their outermost shell. So again, we have 17 here. They have 7 valence electrons. They're going to steal 1. These guys steal 2. These guys steal 3. Stealing is a bad thing, so those are negative charges. Go to the other side. We've got these guys. They have 1 valence electron, so they give that 1 away, and they go down in energy level, but that energy level is full. So give 1 away, give 2 away, hop over, transition, and they give 3 away. Well, now that we can quickly identify what sort of charges are going to form, now we need to talk about how these compounds come together and how we write chemical formulas. So down here at the bottom, I've got the poster child for sodium chloride. When we're writing the chemical formulas, there's really one major rule that we have to keep in mind. And that is when we write a chemical formula, when we write the symbols together, it has to be a neutral compound. What do I mean by neutral? So electrically neutral. If there's a positive 1 on the sodium and a negative 1 on the chlorine, those two cancel each other out, and that is an electrically neutral compound. Remember, we're giving electrons away and stealing electrons. So we have to make sure if we give 1 away, somebody is stealing 1. If we're giving 2 away, we need to make sure there's enough compounds to steal 2 electrons. So this has to be an even transfer. There has to be no net charge, no random electrons floating around. All right, so let's look at sodium chloride down here. So we see sodium. Sodium's going to form a +1 ion. Chlorine over here is going to form a -1 ion. I see that +1, -1, those will cancel each other out. So when we write the chemical formula, we simply write it as NaCl. Easy enough. Okay. But what about this guy over here? What's different about this one? Yeah, so this one, magnesium has a +2 charge, and chlorine has a -1 charge. So can I just simply write MgCl? I can't. We've got +2, we've got -1. That is not equal. We need to make sure those charges are balanced. So how can we write this chemical formula? Because magnesium and chlorine do come together to form an ionic compound. How can we write this chemical formula in such a way that it is electrically neutral? Well, what we're going to need is not 1 chlorine, but we're actually going to need 2 chlorines in the mix. So when we write the chemical formula, the way that we write that is MgCl. And then how we tell the viewer that there's 2 chlorines participating is with a subscript 2 down here. So that subscript tells me that there's 2 chlorines. Okay. So let me walk you through exactly what's going on here. So here's just kind of a silly story. So here's my magnesium atom. My magnesium atom has 2 valence electrons. And he's trying to get rid of those 2 valence electrons. He wants to give them away to somebody. So he comes across a chlorine atom at the same party. Remember, this chlorine atom has 7 valence. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So he comes across the chlorine atom at the party, and he's like, hey, chlorine, I'm trying to get rid of these 2 electrons. I'll be a lot happier, more stable if I do that. Would you be willing to take these 2 electrons from me? Chlorine's like, you know what, dude? Actually, I was really looking to steal an electron from somebody. He's like, but man, I don't want both of them. I just want one of the electrons. So I'll take one of them. Magnesium's like, well, okay, that's fine. So he gives one of his electrons to chlorine. And then this chlorine goes floating off. He's happy now that he's got a full valence shell. Okay. But the problem is magnesium still has 1 electron he's trying to get rid of. He's not okay with just getting rid of 1. So magnesium's going to be like, wow, that was really easy. Chlorine wanted that. Maybe I can find another chlorine at the party. So that's what he does. He goes and he finds another chlorine. He has the same conversation with this chlorine. He's like, hey, dude, would you like this electron? I'm trying to get rid of it. This chlorine, of course, is like, yeah, I'd love to have that electron. That'll fill my valence shell. So he goes floating off with that electron, and he is happy. Okay. And now our magnesium over here, he has given his 2 electrons away. He has gone down in energy level, and he is now stable, satisfied, because that energy level is full. So all of that to say that in a compound like magnesium chloride, he's going to have a conversation with 2 different chlorines. He's going to have to use 2 different chlorines to give those electrons to. So the way that we write that with chemical formulas is MgCl, and we put a subscript 2 here saying there's 2 chlorines involved in this process. One of the things you'll find with chemistry is quite often the number 1 is implied. So there is technically a subscript here on the magnesium, and the subscript is a subscript 1. So if it helps in your brain to put that as you're getting proficient in learning, that is absolutely fine. It's just not conventional. It's not usually how you'll see it written. So if there is no subscript, you can assume that subscript is 1. That's the basics for writing the chemical formulas. In later videos, we will get much more complex with it, but I think that's a good introduction. I hope you guys found this helpful.